This is Ecotricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from Aotearoa's first and only climate-positive certified renewable electricity provider. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in Aotearoa. Search today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup of news from the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me. As we have just passed into the month of April, and I hope any April Fool's jokes you were subjected to were pleasant and benign, we're seeing many automakers publish Q1 figures. So let's blat through a whole bunch in a quick roundup. Tesla was first out of the gate, releasing its Q1 estimates on the 2nd of April. It recorded a total of 433,371 vehicles produced and delivered 386,810. These figures are substantially lower than Wall Street had expected, and the first time since 2020 that Tesla's deliveries have dropped. Tesla stock fell as a result. Rivian announced production of 13,980 vehicles, 180 vehicles higher than Wall Street expected. It delivered 13,588, substantially higher than Wall Street expected. While losses per vehicle increased in Q1, Rivian plans to tackle that by pausing production at its main facility in Normal, Illinois, to carry out much-needed production line upgrades to save money. Hyundai had an incredibly good quarter for EV sales in the US, with sales doubling in March to give it a new Q1 record for EVs. It sold 6,822 IONIQ 5 EVs during the first quarter, while sales of the IONIQ 6 totaled 3,646. With Hyundai offering some truly impressive lease deals, expect sales to continue to remain strong for some time. Hyundai's sister brand Kia also had a great first quarter in the US, helped in part by strong interest for the EV9, which we'll be reviewing soon. The Kia EV9 sold just over 4,000 examples, while the EV6 added another 4,059 sales to its tally. As with Hyundai, Kia doesn't break out sales for its non-dedicated EVs, but even without incentive eligibility, Kia's eGMP platform EVs are increasing in popularity. Ford also enjoyed a great first quarter, buoyed by some pretty hefty incentive deals designed to get bums in seats. Ford's Q1 sales were up 86% year-on-year, with 20,223 EVs sold, split between 7,743 F-150 Lightnings, 9,589 Mustang Mach-E's, and 2,891 E-Transits. It wasn't all good news for legacy auto, though. Volkswagen reported a Q1 drop in sales of 37% in the US, despite a brand-wide rise in sales of 21%. 6,167 ID.4s were sold during the first quarter, with some analysts blaming uncertainty over tax credit eligibility earlier in the year and substantial pending upgrades for the newer model year, putting customers off buying for now. GM's EV sales also fell in Q1, down 21% year-over-year, with 16,425 EVs sold across its various brands. Of those, just over 7,000 were Chevy Bolt EV and Bolt EUV models, 5,800 were Cadillac Lyriq, and the remaining was split between Hummer EV models, Silverado EV and Blazer EV, as well as a few Bright Drop delivery vans. To finish sales and production, we're heading to China, where NIO celebrated a good end to its quarter, with strong March sales leading it to just about meet its recently revised Q1 delivery forecast of 30,000 EVs. It delivered 30,053 vehicles globally. Given that NIO's stock price has been hurting a lot in recent months, this is very good news for the EV firm. Meanwhile, BYD was celebrating after achieving its second-best month of sales ever, recording plug-in sales in March of 301,631 EV and plug-in hybrids combined. Of those, 139,902 EVs were sold during March. It won't beat Tesla on quarterlies, but it's really not super far behind. Talking of Tesla, following on from the announcement last week that all Teslas capable of FSD would be given 1 month's free FSD operation. Tesla changed the name it uses for the feature. At the very end of last week, long after we had scripted and filmed the show, Tesla dropped the beta suffix from FSD and added supervised instead, which, depending on whom you listen to, is either a simple cosmetic change or a reflection of major improvements made to FSD. But as others have noted, it's worth reminding folks that FSD Supervised is still very much a Level 2 driver assistance feature, and the key word to pay attention to here is supervised. Like any other driver assistance feature on the market today, you still need to be actively engaged behind the wheel. We regularly hear concerns from would-be EV buyers about battery life, and we've spent a fair amount of time debunking old myths about battery replacement, frequency, and cost. This week, Chinese firm CATL, working in collaboration with Yutong Bus Company in China, unveiled what it says is its longest life battery pack ever. The LFP pack is said to have zero degradation for the first 1,000 charge-discharge cycles, and when fitted to a Yutong bus or truck, will come with a 1.5 million kilometre, 15-year battery warranty. Of course, commercial electric vehicles have different use cycles to privately owned EVs, but it's still very impressive. 1.5 million kilometres is just shy of 1 million miles, and I don't think it will be that long before this tech reaches consumer-grade EV battery packs. Fisker's future has been looking bleak for a number of weeks now, with financial troubles and a failure to follow listing norms causing it to be delisted from the New York Stock Exchange last week. Now, in addition to defaulting from loan payments and offering its Ocean EV at massive discounts, we've learned this week that Fisker is now worrying about a new problem. 14 different complaints submitted to the US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration regarding an alleged intermittent failure of door latches and handles. Citing these complaints, NHTSA has opened what it says is a preliminary probe into the matter, very much standard for any vehicle it's received numerous complaints about. Fisker hasn't publicly responded to media requests for comment. One of the fastest growing segments in electric transportation, at least in terms of investment, is the electric vertical takeoff and landing world. And this week, Chinese firm AutoFlight was celebrating its first eVTOL delivery. Having just received type certification for its carry-all cargo eVTOL craft from the Civil Aviation Administration of China, AutoFlight was celebrating delivering its first Prosperity eVTOL craft to a currently unnamed Japanese corporate customer. The AutoFlight Prosperity is a 5-seat eVTOL craft primarily built for commuting. Earlier this year, an AutoFlight Prosperity craft flew from Shenzhen to Zhuhai in China, a trip of 29 minutes by air, but one which would ordinarily take 3 hours on the road due to sea crossings. We are a long way from eVTOL everywhere, but I'm eager to see how eVTOL changes short-distance travel. As Tesla CEO Elon Musk continues down a path that sees him amplifying some of the most hateful and conspiratorial voices of the internet, there are few days where he isn't hitting the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Now, market intelligence firm Caliber is warning that there's significant evidence Elon Musk's behaviour is affecting Tesla's brand image. It cites its own surveys in which the number of survey respondents wanting a Tesla as their next car has shrunk from 70% in November 2021 to 31% in February this year. In the same report, the company claims that consideration scores for other luxury brands, like Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Audi, have risen to between 44 and 47%, and it states that 83% of the folks it talked to, sample size unknown, connect Elon Musk with Tesla. And finally, for this segment, Chevrolet has officially confirmed that its first edition RST variant of the Silverado EV will get an EPA-approved 440 miles of range per charge. While Chevrolet has been making and selling limited numbers of the Silverado EV work truck since last year, the RST variant, which is being sold less as a work truck and more as a lifestyle vehicle, is due to enter into production later this year and will come with plenty of creature comforts. The range estimate of 440 miles is far better than the 400 miles originally quoted by Chevrolet. It's pretty much a given that this truck will never head to Aotearoa, but I would love to know your thoughts on how much an electric ute should really cost, because I think that Kiwi opinions and opinions in the rest of the world differ slightly, so let me know in the down below. Before we get to the last two stories, I have a quick question. Are you in the market for a new EV? Because if you are and you live in Aotearoa, you should very much check out our own buyer's guide at ecotricity.co.nz. It is packed with tons of information that will help you pick a car that's right for you and includes plenty of details about available vehicles on the market, what daily life with an EV is like, and so much more. So follow the link below and start your journey today. It is no secret that in the internal combustion engine vehicle world, high-performance, high-octane race car variants of in-production vehicles can dramatically boost sales of road-going models. And that halo effect is also now starting to appear in the EV world, with more and more companies looking to make track-tweaked race car variants of in-production EVs. This week, Hyundai unveiled a car that's bound to get race fans a little hot under the collar, the Hyundai IONIQ 5N EN1 Cup car. Basically a track-certified, track-ready race car variant of the already spicy IONIQ 5N, it promises an all-electric alternative to the Elantra N1 with race-approved roll cage, bucket seat, 4-point seatbelt and even a modified charging point for fast charging at the track. Making its debut at the Hyundai N Festival, Hyundai hopes the IONIQ 5 EN1 will spawn a new, exciting race car series for professional drivers. And so do I. And finally, running a company is hard work, be it a little small YouTube channel like this one or a multinational company worth billions. There's a lot of pressure to make sure that the money you make is well spent in ways that can help the company grow. And while small firms might only have to justify their cash flows to accountants, their partners, and the tax office, larger firms that are publicly traded face far more scrutiny about where the money goes and what it's spent on. And that's doubly so when the company isn't turning a profit yet because it's a startup that's still ramping up production on its first big killer product. So when EV startup Canoo filed its year-end financials on Monday, recording a net loss of $302 million for the year despite $886 million in revenue, everyone was surprised to see that the company's official books recorded a payment of $1.7 million over the year, double its revenue, to pay for private jet flights for its company CEO Tony Aquila, split between first-class airfare on commercial airliners and reimbursements to him for using his private jet for Canoo business. Given the company's recent reverse stock split to avoid being delisted, it really doesn't look good that the CEO is doing the whole 1% lifestyle thing. At least, I don't think so. What say you? And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And of course, if you haven't switched yet, it's time to switch to Aotearoa's first and only climate positive certified renewable electricity provider. It is super easy to make that switch, and in doing so, you'll help the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back next week as usual, but in the meantime, be sure to check out other great content on this channel, including some great stuff from the lovely Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Have an amazing rest of the week. Ka kite! See you next time.